Hello and welcome back to Teach and Flourish. You're with me, Kell Bell, and today we're going to talk about 4 steps that you can take to flourish as a busy classroom teacher. Now, I know that for the past 20 years, I've been in education. 16 of those years, I was teaching in a secondary school in New South Wales, Australia. And look, there have been many times that I've flourished as a teacher, and there have been other times that I've really floundered as a teacher. And I'm not proud of those moments because I was at my absolute low. And look, we're going to unpack what that looks like for you to flourish as a teacher so you can protect your precious time, energy, and your well-being. So before we dive into today, let's unpack what the word flourish actually means. The root Latin word of flourish is florere. Excuse my Latin, but basically that translates to, and I just love the visuals that come with that because I really think teachers do blossom and do bloom in their classrooms. And that's what I want for you as a busy teacher. I want you to flourish. I want you to bloom and create magic in that space in your classroom. And we want our students to flourish as well. We want them to thrive. We want them to improve and to grow. And I think it's really important for us to be looking at that. When we're flourishing, our students are flourishing as well. And I think in terms of a dictionary meaning, if we look to that, the word flourish means to grow or develop successfully and to thrive and to prosper. Again, I've got lots of visuals of beautiful blooming flowers and plants, lots of greenery and richness. The actual verb of flourish is to succeed. And I want that for you. I want that for you as a busy classroom teacher. I want you to flourish. I want you to prosper in your classroom, and I want you to thrive. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, there are moments where I've definitely flourished as a classroom teacher, and there's lots of moments where I think I've floundered. And because we get pushed in so many different directions as busy educators, I'm sure that you've also experienced moments where you've been on your A game, you've really thrived and flourished, or you might not be so proud of the way you handled certain things, or you might have felt that you were floundering, just trying to keep your head above water to actually do your job. And I think because we're so under the pump in education that often we find it really hard to flourish all the time. And look, we can't always be flourishing, but it'd be nice to spend most of our time flourishing as teachers. And look, our classrooms are absolutely magic. I miss being in the classroom. I did, in fact, do a few days casual work only 3 weeks ago. This was before the big announcement that I'm taking over PDHPE.net. For those PDHPE and CAFS teachers here in New South Wales that follow me along and listen to our podcast, that's been a bit of a whirlwind. So I did 3 days casual because, look, things in education are quite in a bit of a funk at the moment in terms of budgets and cuts within schools. So I did some casual work, and now I find myself, super busy again because I've been handed this beautiful business, PDHPE.net. So a public thank you to Dan, the original founder. He founded our website, PDHPE.net, back in 2015. And look, that has been the go-to space for lots of PDHPE teachers. So lots of exciting things ahead for PDHPE and CAFS teachers here in New South Wales with my support. But let's get back to flourishing the classroom. I've said it lots of times that I miss that magic that happens in our classrooms. Just that spark, that conversation that our kids have, those crazy stories that they walk in the door with, or that laughter, that banter, those jokes or kids running around. I really do miss that part of education. But a lot of the other things, we can keep that, the energy and the vibe and the conversations that happen and the richness and the growth that happens in a classroom is second to none. I don't think you would ever actually describe that to a non-teacher because it's absolute magic. When classrooms are magic, they're thriving. The teachers are flourishing and so are the kids. The kids are happy. You're happy as a teacher. The kids love what they're doing. We love what we're doing. You're in your flow. You're not in a funk. You're in your groove. And I think when you're not flourishing, you're probably feeling like you're a bit burnt out, that you might be in a bit of a funk, and you might be floundering and trying to keep your head above water. And as I said before, it's my absolute mission to protect you as a busy teacher. And I want you to flourish and I want you to prosper in your busy classrooms. And it's interesting when I looked up the definition of flourish, and the word grow came up, flourishing and grow and thriving. And as you can see my logo behind me, if you're watching the recording on YouTube, you'll see, or even on LinkedIn and in our Facebook groups, you'll see that my logo has the words connect, learn, and grow part of that. And that's what I want for our teachers. I want you to be able to connect with each other. I want you to be able to learn from each other and grow together. And I think that's what flourishing is about, is really connecting, learning, and growing as teachers. Now, today we're going to unpack the 4 steps for you to flourish as a busy classroom teacher. So whether you're feeling a bit of a funk in here in New South Wales, we are term 2. Our schools over in the US are just about to go back. And look, it's winter time in Australia, in other parts of the world. And it's summer in the US and many parts on that side of the globe. So no matter where you are at this point in time in our year, but also in your career as a teacher, it's time for you to flourish. And I'm going to share with you today what you can to do that. So I hope today's episode gives you practical strategies for you to actually implement in your classroom straight away. I don't want to talk at you. I want to be in conversation with you about what you can do. And our 4 steps to flourishing really encompasses our 4 C's. Now, our 4 C's stand for connect, collaborate, community, and cultivate. And that's what I want for you. That's what I want for you as a busy teacher. I want you to feel like you are connecting with your colleagues, that you are collaborating, you're in community, and that you're cultivating. Because at the end of the day, we're all in it together. Teaching is a team sport. It's really important for us to be working together. You're not on your own little island at your own school. We are working together in community with each other. You might be teaching in a team, whether you are an early educator. It might be your room, your other early childhood educators. It might be in a stage or a team in a faculty. It might be in a community of schools, a year group, a stage. We're working together in teams. And I love the quote by Helen Keller, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. And I think I probably found that quote about 15 years ago as a young teacher, and it always sticks in my mind. I'm like, you can do it by yourself, or let's work together on this project or on this aspect of what we're doing. Because we are teaching the same stuff. Many of us are teaching from the same curriculum, from the same syllabus, from the same district. Like, we need to be working smarter. And I think for so long, teachers have been, probably recovering perfectionists or people pleasers, where they haven't really stood up for themselves, and they haven't said no, and they've probably thought that they could just work by themselves. And I think, I don't know why teachers think that they can do it alone, because teaching is a team sport. It's not an individual pursuit. It's a team sport. And as a health and physical education teacher here in New South Wales, Australia, I know the importance of teamwork and team sport. I love team sport, still play netball and OzTag and touch football. I know the importance of that. So for me, in terms of my way to connect with other people, probably happened when I first started teaching back in 2004. I was thrown in the deep end. We were starting a new syllabus for PDHPE, which is our health and physical education curriculum here in New South Wales, Australia. And my coordinator, who was very, very experienced, Karen Tillman, took me under her wing and said, Kell, let's do this together. I loved programming. I still do. I love all the resourcing and finding great activities for the kids. And we really worked together on programming for our new 7 to 10 PDHPE syllabus. And Karen could have done it on her own as the coordinator, but me working with her made so much more sense. Now, I think the great thing about me working with someone who trusted me was that she put complete trust in me to do my job, and that professionalism was there. That trust was there. That then obviously led me to take on roles that maybe a typical first year out may not have experienced, because Karen actually trusted me. She knew that I, went to university. I was a good teacher. She saw what I could do. She put complete trust in me. And I think that really doesn't always exist in schools. And I think this idea about working together, sometimes schools become quite competitive. And I know for me as a young teacher, I experienced that in the early 2000s when there were other female young teachers in our faculty working together. It might have become a little bit competitive because people probably felt a bit threatened by each other, by each other's job and role. And I know when worksheets, remember worksheets? When we put worksheets together, I would kind of share it across the table on everyone's desk, and some of our colleagues didn't really reciprocate. So I think it's really important for you to be working as a team, because at the end of the day, teaching is a team sport. So no matter what you do, is looking for ways to connect with other people. And if you don't feel comfortable, maybe with, one colleague, hopefully going to somebody else, making that connection with them, connecting with other faculties or other stages or other colleagues, other early educators to work together, you'll find your groove. But it's really important that you take, that people-pleasing hat off, or the one that just says, I can do it alone, but to work together. That idea of connection is so important. I don't think we could do our jobs without each other. And we see when schools thrive, when they have those really good connections across the school. They look for opportunities for their staff to connect. Now, it's not just about wellbeing days or wellbeing activities or morning teas all the time. It's the small things that happen within a school. And when I talk about these 4 steps to flourish as a busy classroom teacher, I'm not talking about those Band-Aid solutions that get slapped around schools. I'm talking about actual on-the-ground practical things in practice that happen in schools for teachers to connect with each other. So that's connection. I would love to hear from you. Come and send me a message on Instagram. kellbell.co is where you can find me, and let me know what you do at school to really foster that connection across your school, across your year groups, your faculties, your early education teams, all that sort of stuff. Now, that's connection. Let's look at the importance of collaboration. So a really easy way for you to flourish as a teacher is for you to collaborate with your colleagues. You can do it alone, or you can do it together and have, maximum impact. Many of our communities outside of schools are working with each other on a big project, or we might have different roles that people play. I think sometimes teachers, again, recovering perfectionists probably, and people who don't ask for help, think that they need to do it on their own. It's really important that you collaborate with your colleagues on certain projects, on certain syllabus reforms. Now, at the moment in New South Wales, in Australia, we're going through a massive overhaul of curriculum. There are lots of changes for our busy New South Wales teachers. And I know it just doesn't happen in Australia. It's not just unique to New South Wales. It happens all over the globe, that there are curriculum reforms. There are changes in the syllabus. There are changes in ways of doing things, the way of testing, standardized tests, all those sorts of things. Change happens, but it's really important that we're working together on those changes. We're collaborating with each other. Now, at the moment in New South Wales, we have our Health and Movement Science syllabus, which is our Year 11 and 12 course for health and physical education in high school, rolling out next year. And, we have thousands of PDHPE teachers teaching that course next year. There are many teachers who are probably on their own feeling quite stressed because they're working really hard, chasing their tail. But there are others who have joined memberships. One of mine being an example, to work together on that. So if you can work out ways to collaborate more efficiently and more effectively on the day-to-day things in schools, not just the curriculum stuff, but things like, playground duty, musicals, parent-teacher night. Again, teaching is a team sport. It's not an individual pursuit. It's really important that we're working together. And I think, look, I know that there are lots of different schools out there that have lots of personality clashes, and I've certainly felt the pinch of lots of different situations. I moved from Sydney in New South Wales to the Central Coast, sunny, beautiful beach suburbs. I thought I was moving into a school that was really collaborative. They weren't. I walked into a school that was very toxic. They would hide resources and take folders home and not share passwords and not share access to things on their drive. And it was really disheartening because I had come from such a school that was very, very collaborative to a school that wasn't so collaborative. And I felt the pinch straight away. I felt like I was on my own, I suppose, as the leader, as a relieving head teacher. And I did a lot myself. I didn't give myself my advice now. I didn't ask for much help because I thought I could do it by myself. But within the faculty who I was leading, they were very toxic and they were working against each other, not together. So it's really important for you to develop ways for your colleagues to collaborate. It is going to make your life so much easier if you're working together, if you're collaborating, if you're, just sharing a load on stuff. Rather than throwing each other under the bus, working together, thriving and flourishing as teachers. In terms of community, there are lots of things that you can do to have a really flourishing school, but even a really flourishing faculty or team or room as an early educator, because at the end of the day, you're with these people probably more than your family. We spend a lot of our working life at work, at school. So if we can create really positive communities that we feel like we're on our game, where we can connect and we can collaborate and we can work together towards the same goals, it makes life so much easier. When people are on a different page or on a different planet, it makes it really hard. So it's really important, if you're the leader, if you're a head teacher, if you're a stage coordinator, leader of wellbeing, if you're an exec member, if you're part of the senior exec, if you're a principal, if you're part of a system of schools, as the leader, it's really important for you to articulate where everyone is headed. Like, where are we going with this? What's our mission? What's our vision for this? What do we stand for? What are our values? Because I think sometimes schools don't articulate that out loud, and then staff on the ground, they maybe kind of don't understand where everyone's going, where it's all being driven to. So it's really important, if you're the leader, you're articulating and you're sharing the school's vision, the school's mission, the school's goals, our strategic direction. Where are we going with all of this? It's really important that they're working together and that we're on the same page. Now, I think if we have the same work ethic, if we have great leadership, then it makes everyone else's job really easy. So for me, when I was very young, I think it was in 2006, that's like my third year of teaching, I was given the opportunity to take care of a whole year group. And although I was very young, our principal at the time, Mary, completely trusted me and my ability and my skills to work with different groups of students. So I worked with two groups of two year 10 groups, and then with transition to year 11, and at the end of the year into school certificate. Back in the day, our school certificate was like our end of year 10 examinations. They are no longer in existence in New South Wales schools. So I was kind of part of my role was to help the kids be prepared for school certificate and that transition from year 10 to year 11, or exiting school when the school age was a lot younger. And then I was given the next 2 years, year 8 group. Now, I did that for 4 years, absolutely loved it. looking after the kids and supporting their well-being, all those sorts of things. And I know that I needed a community of people behind me helping me do my job. And I think at the time, our principal really trusted our group of pastoral coordinators to work together for the greater good of our community, which was our school. So it's really important that we're working together and we're looking for ways to make everyone's life a lot easier rather than harder. Now, schools, you know that schools are flourishing when you see that sense of community. People are looking out for each other. People might dress up at different events, at walkathons, and people, you'll have a whole big group of volunteers that will help out at musicals and athletics carnivals. People are smiling, people are happy, people want to come to work. That's a flourishing school. When people don't want to come to work, when there's lots of absenteeism and people taking sick days and people really whinging in the staff room, in the lunchroom, that's when you feel the pinch that maybe something's off, maybe something's not happening to drive that sense of community in a school. And I think when you see flourishing schools, teachers are on their A game, teachers are experimenting, teachers are trying new things, teachers are giving great feedback to each other as colleagues, as educators. The kids are happy. Like when the kids are happy, we're happy. When we're happy, the kids are happy. It all like cycles together. It's really important that we're working in community with each other. So down to the last one, which is cultivate. What I mean by cultivate is creating that good solid base for growth. So really that sense of cultivation, of that creation, to have a really good solid base to create the school and to create an environment that you can grow and flourish in to your very best ability. And when we cultivate a school like that, when we cultivate teams like that and communities like that, people are happy and want to come to work. They want to do their job. They want to teach. I know for me, I'm no green thumb when it comes to plants and gardening, but I know in our house that I have our peace lilies under wrap. Succulents, not so much, but you have to foster that environment for that to grow, for a plant to grow. Really rich soil, watering it, looking after it. The same thing happens in schools. We need to look after the well-being of our teachers. We need to look after our teachers' health. And we need to do things to help them grow, to help them flourish so they can be the very, very best version of themselves. When we're flourishing, we're able to cultivate a really good sense of community, a really good sense of connection, and a really good sense of collaboration. We're looking for a really positive culture in our school when that's happening. And I bet schools that from a distance you see that, you're like, yeah, they're doing good things. They're cultivating that really rich sense of growth within their staff, but also with the kids. So it doesn't matter if you in a faculty or in a team, you have the ability to make and shift and change what's happening at your school. And I think it is sometimes that core group within a school that drives that change to cultivate that really rich community, that really rich positive culture. I know for me back in the early 2000s, there was probably a core group of us. I would say we're kind of like the middle leaders, the principal, the assistant principal, curriculum coordinator, the religious education coordinator, because I worked in an all-girls Catholic school for 14 years, and most, not all, most of the middle leaders, so the coordinators, KLA coordinators, as well as the pastoral leaders, which we were a good team. And the school thrived and our numbers thrived and the kids wanted to be there and the staff wanted to be there. And even though we were a very small school in Blacktown, people started to hear about us. People wanted to come to the school. People wanted to work there because we had cultivated that really rich sense of community. So I would love to hear what you're doing at your school to cultivate that rich sense of community, that rich sense of culture at your school. Because at the end of the day, it's never a competition. It's connection over competition. It's collaboration over competition. It's cultivation and community over competition. And I think the more that we work with each other, it has many benefits to our kids, but also our communities. And teaching is not a competition. Now, I know that I use the analogy that teaching is like a team sport. Yes, but I see education as like, or teachers as like the coach, and the kids are the team. And we're working together in teams towards the same goal. Like, we know what that goal is, we're working towards that together. And it's really important that we're sticking to that. We're looking at, here's the goalpost, or here's the plan of attack. Let's work together towards that. So it's connection, it's the collaboration, it's the community, and it's the cultivation that equals success in a school and makes people happy. For teachers and schools to grow and flourish, it's important for them to prosper and thrive in what they do. We're preparing our kids for the big bad world, but we need to prepare them with a world outside their classroom so they can flourish, so they can thrive, so they can make a difference in their families and their communities. And if you're not doing any of this, or if you're against a lot of this, then it makes it really hard for people to work together. It makes it really difficult for schools to move in a similar direction. If there are people who are being negative or toxic or throwing each other under the bus, and I've been in two schools that were complete polar opposites of each other. One school had that rich sense of culture. People wanted to be at school. People volunteered for everything. Musicals, Rock-a-Stedford back in the early 2000s, sporting teams, even non-PE teachers taking sporting teams. And then I went to a school that was against each other. Our results were publicly shared and people were named and shamed across the whole school for their HSC results. People threw each other under the bus. People didn't collaborate. People took their folders home and didn't share with each other. So what sort of school do you want? Do you want a school that's thriving and flourishing? Or do you want a school that's floundering and probably dying out? Now, I'd love to hear from you about what you're personally doing at your level to connect, to collaborate, to build community, and to have that sense of cultivation happening at your school. And as I said before, Helen Keller's quote, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much," rings so true to me. And if teachers are working together in community, they're thriving, they're prospering, they're flourishing, and you can do your job as a busy classroom teacher. You can do your job and do your magic in the classroom. And it's my absolute mission for you to be flourishing as a busy teacher. We know that our dropout rates, teachers are leaving the profession, people are taking sick days, people are absolutely done. But if we can just tackle some of these steps to flourishing, I think it's going to make a really big difference in what we do. So thank you for today. I hope that you've taken away a few little gems. And if you want to connect with me on Instagram, head over to kellbell.co to start a conversation about what you can do to flourish as a busy classroom teacher, or how schools can flourish together. I would be so honoured if you could share this episode with a colleague, a friend, your principal, your leaders. And I think it's important for us to have a conversation about what we can do from the ground to flourish as busy classroom teachers. Have the best day.